Millionaire's son pours milkshake on Waitress. It turned out to be his biggest mistake. The strawberry milkshake was cold against her skin, dripping from her hair down the collar of her uniform. Emma stood there, frozen, while laughter echoed through the diner. The young man in the expensive suit didn't even look back as he walked toward the door, his friends trailing behind him like shadows. She felt every eye in the restaurant on her, the other waitresses. The cook through the kitchen window, the elderly couple in the corner booth who'd watched the whole thing unfold. Her hands trembled as she reached for a towel, the sweet smell of strawberries now making her stomach turn. She'd been working at Murphy's Diner for 3 years. Nothing, not the rude customers, not the double shifts, not the aching feet had ever made her feel quite this small. But as she wiped her face and caught her reflection in the window, something flickered in her eyes that hadn't been there before. Something that looked almost like determination. "Where are you watching from tonight?" Emma had opened Murphy's Diner that morning the same way she always did, locking the door at 5:30, flipping on the lights, starting the first pot of coffee before the sun fully rose. The familiar routine usually brought her comfort. There was something peaceful about those quiet moments before the breakfast rush, when it was just her and the hum of the refrigerators and the smell of brewing coffee. Filling the empty space, the regulars started. Coming in around 6, Mr. Peterson with his newspaper in black. Coffee. Mrs. Chen, who always ordered oatmeal. With extra brown sugar. They knew her name. They asked about her day. Sometimes Mr. Peterson would leave an extra $1 with his tip and tell her to buy herself something nice. She'd grown up in this town, gone to the high school just 3 blocks away. Most of her classmates had left for college or bigger cities, chasing dreams that felt too far away for someone like her. Her mama had gotten sick her senior year, and instead of filling out applications, Emma had filled out job applications. Murphy's had hired her on the spot. That was 7 years ago now. Her mama had passed 2 years later. Somehow, Emma had just ... stayed. That's what she'd been thinking about when the group walked in around 1 o'clock. 5 of them, all young, all dressed like they'd never worried about money a day in their lives. They took the large booth by the window. Emma approached with her notepad and her practiced smile. "Good afternoon, folks. Can I start you off with some drinks?" The young man at the head of the table barely glanced at her. He had dark hair styled perfectly, a watch that caught the light, and eyes that seemed to look right through her. "Water, no ice. And make sure the glass is clean this time." He'd never been here before. They ordered like they were doing her a favor. The young man, she'd heard one of his friends call him, Chase sent his water back twice. When their food came out, he complained that his burger was overcooked. She offered to have the cook make him a new one. He waved her off like she was a fly. "Just take it off the bill."
Oh.
20 minutes later, she was refilling iced teas when she heard him say something to his friends about these small-town places, and the service is always terrible. She finished pouring and turned to walk away. That's when he stuck. His foot out, her ankle caught, and suddenly she was stumbling. Catching herself against the edge of their table, his strawberry milkshake tipped, splashing across the surface. A few drops landed on his expensive sleeve. Shh, Christ. He shot up from his seat. "Are you kidding me right now?" "I'm so sorry," Emma started. But he grabbed the milkshake glass and dumped it over her head. The entire diner went quiet. Emma stood in the bathroom 10 minutes later, trying to wash the sticky sweetness from her hair with hand soap and rough paper towels. Her uniform was ruined. She could hear her heart beat in her ears. The worst part wasn't even the humiliation. It was the look on his face when he'd done it. Like she wasn't a person at all. When she finally came out, her manager Joe was waiting. "You okay, Em?" She nodded, even though they both knew it was a lie. They left. Didn't even pay. "I got their license plate, though. It's fine," she said. "I just want to finish my shift." The afternoon crowd came and went. Emma moved through her tables on autopilot. Mrs. Chen came in for her usual afternoon. Tian noticed the pink stain immediately. "Honey, what happened?" "Just an accident," Emma said. Mrs. Chen touched her hand. "You've got more grace than most people. Your mama would be proud." The kindness hit her harder than the milkshake had. Emma had to excuse herself. She made it to the storage room before the tears came hot and silent and furious. She was 25 years old, and somewhere along the way, she'd forgotten how to take up space. That evening, she walked home the long way, past the park where she used to play as a kid. The sun was setting, painting everything gold and orange. For the first time in years, Emma let herself imagine a different life. A life where she didn't start every day by making herself small. When she got home, there was an envelope taped to her door. Inside was a business card and a handwritten note. The card read, Chase Whitmore, Whitmore Industries. The note said simply, My father will be in touch. Emma stared at it for a long time. She didn't know what it meant. But as she stood there in the dim hallway, still sticky with dried milkshake, she made herself a promise. Whatever came next. She wouldn't make herself small anymore if this moment touched your heart. Please give the video a thumbs up. The call came 3 days later. Emma almost didn't answer. She didn't recognize the number. But something made her swipe to accept. Is this Emma Reyes? The voice was male, older, careful. Yes, this is she. My name is Robert Whitmore. I believe you met my son Chase last Friday at Murphy's Diner. I'd like to meet with you if you're willing. Today, if possible. There's a coffee shop on Main Street, Stella's. Would 11 o'clock work? She should have said no. But instead, she heard herself say, Okay, 11. Robert Whitmore arrived exactly at 11. She recognized him immediately. He had Chase's dark hair, now threaded with silver, and the same expensive watch. But his eyes were different, warmer, weighted with something that looked almost like sadness.
Thank you for coming, he said.
I saw the security footage. The diner provided it when I called to pay what my son owed. Miss Reyes, I want to apologize. What he did was unconscionable. The word hung between them. I've spent the last 3 days trying to figure out how I raised someone capable of treating another human being that way, Robert continued. His mother passed away when he was 12. I buried myself in work. I gave him everything except the one thing he actually needed to be told no. Emma felt something loosen in her chest. I'd like to offer you something, he said. My company is opening a new hospitality division. We're looking for people who understand service from the ground up. I'd like to offer you a position. Manager training program. Full benefits. A salary that would be significantly more than what you're making now. I don't understand. I watched that footage. After Chase humiliated you, you didn't yell. You didn't quit. You cleaned yourself up and finished your shift. That's strength. And it's exactly the kind of character I want in my organization. She should have felt grateful. Instead, she felt angry. So this is about your guilt, as he said simply. Partially. But it's also about recognizing something real when I see it. He slid a folder across the table. Inside was a formal offer letter, a salary that made her breath catch. And Chase, she asked. Robert's jaw tightened. He's been cut off. No more company accounts. He's getting a job. A real one. Entry level. He's going to learn what it means to work. Emma walked home slowly, the folder tucked under her arm. Part of her wanted to tear up the offer, but another part whispered, Asterisk. What if this is your chance? Asterisk. Have you ever faced something like this? Share your story in the comments. Emma gave Joe her 2 weeks' notice on Thursday. He hugged her tight, told her he'd known she was meant for bigger things. Mrs. Chen came in on Emma's last day and pressed a small jade bracelet into her palm. For luck. And to remember where you came from.
Ow.
The new job started on a Monday. The training program was intense. 3 months of rotating through different departments. Emma absorbed it all. She worked harder than anyone else, arrived earlier, stayed later. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just surviving. She was building something. 6 weeks in, she saw him in the parking garage. Chase Whitmore, standing beside a 10-year-old sedan. He was wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and he looked smaller somehow. More human. He saw her and froze. I'm sorry, he said finally. For what I did, there's no excuse. I was a terrible person. I'm trying to be better. Emma could have walked away. But she thought about Mrs. Chen's jade bracelet, warm against her wrist. She thought about all the second chances people had given her. Okay, she said. Not forgiveness. Exactly. But acknowledgement? Chase nodded. I'm working in the warehouse now. Loading docks. My dad said I need to understand the business from the ground up. He was right. It's honest work, Emma said. There's dignity in it, if you let there be. 3 months later, Emma finished the training program at the top of her class. Robert offered her a permanent position as assistant manager. She accepted. 2 years after that, she became a full manager. She never forgot Murphy's. She implemented policies in every property under her management: fair wages, dignified treatment, opportunities for advancement. She hired people who reminded her of her younger self. If you've been enjoying this story, subscribe for more heartwarming tales. 10 years later. Emma stood in the ballroom of the Grand Harbor Hotel and looked out at the crowd. She was 35 now, poised and confident. Robert found her by the windows. You've done remarkable things, Emma. Successful because we treat people with dignity, she said. That's not revolutionary. It should just be normal. I'm retiring next year, he said quietly. I'm recommending you to take over the division. Later that night, Emma found herself back at Murphy's Diner. Joe was wiping down tables when she walked in. They talked until 2 in the morning, swapping stories and memories. Her phone buzzed with a text from Chase. Asterisk, congrats on the promotion. You're going to be amazing. Asterisk, the jade bracelet was warm against her wrist. Emma thought about Mrs. Chen, about her mama, about that scared 25-year-old girlhood. Somehow found the courage to believe she deserved more. She started her car and pulled out onto the empty street, heading home. And for the first time in longer than she could remember, the road ahead felt full of light. If you enjoyed this story, please share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more. Thank you for spending your time with us today.